Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to show you how you can draw this realistic eye. So at the front portion of the video, I'll show you the grid and divider method to which you can draw the basic shape of the eye accurately and perfectly. And in the second part of the video, or the later half of the video, I'll show you the shading technique which I have done out here. For this I have used a different kind of paper as well, like the handmade paper I have used, but we'll go into those detailings later on. So without further ado, let's get to the tutorial.
So as you can see, I have already taken a printout of the reference drawing which I am going to use, and now I am going to create grids over it. So I'll go into the grid method in very much detailing. Okay, so first of all, I am taking an approximate measurement like how much the gappings could be, and I am using those equal measurements on the top of the line. Okay, see that how I am taking some measurements, just going from one point to another. Now I'll just mark them 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Okay, and now I'll do the same on this line. Okay, and I'll give the same markings. Divider gives very accurate measurements. That's why if you use the divider method, your measurements are going to be very accurate, very perfect, and you'll get the basic structure perfectly. Okay, so now I'm going to give an approximate perpendicular line. If you want an absolute 90 degrees, then you can use a 90-degree angle as well. I'll show that in the next video. Okay, to how you can get the absolute 90-degree over a line. So now I'm taking the measurements out here as well. So we have 6 out here. Sorry, this one got cut out. I'm actually taking the same measurements on the other side as well. Okay, so now I'm going to put them out here. Remember, the divider has pointed edges. Okay, so make sure when you apply the pressure on the working page, don't apply too much pressure. And another very important thing, I'm using a very dark pencil, and using that I'm making the grids just because I want to show you the technique, like how I have done the grid. If I use a very light pencil, then you won't be able to see the lines. Just to show you, I am using a dark pencil, but when you will do it in your work, when you will try this drawing out, or when you will use this method in any other drawing, you have to do these grids with very light pressure, with a very light pencil, so that later on when you have already finished drawing the basic structure, you can just erase them out. Okay, these grids and these lines shouldn't be visible in the main drawing. Okay, so see, I'm just joining the lines from one point to another. Now I'll do the same from left to right. So once I have joined all the lines, my grid is ready, and we will take the same measurements on the reference drawing as well and create the same grid over out here as well. Although I took the measurements from here only, but since I have kept the divider in equal measurements, that's why I decided to create it out there first. Okay, so see, now I'm just drawing out the lines. See this? So now I am marking out the points where the lines will pass, through the points where the lines of the eye will pass. I'm just marking those points out, and then I'm taking the measurements. Okay, I'm taking measurement and I'm pointing out those areas from where the line will pass. Always take measurement from a cross section. In case you don't know what is a cross section is the portion where the two lines have intersected each other or have crossed paths with each other. So always take measurements from a cross sectional point. It will be a very accurate measurement, then much more accurate, because you know you are dealing with a 90-degree 180-degree angle of boxes, so your measurements will be perfect. Now I'm going for the second line. See, the line which I have drawn now after taking the measurements, you don't even have to worry about the angle in which you have to draw the line, because if you have to join the line and you follow the reference drawing, then there is very little chance of error, and when there is less error means the drawing is much more accurate. See, I'm taking the measurement and I'm marking the points through which the line will pass. See, I have kept the speed of the video relatively slow in this, because every layering and every detailing is important in this. Okay, so see, I'm joining the second line. I hope you can see it. I'll darken it out, no issue. So now I'm going for the lower portions, and I will be taking equal measurements only. See, another good thing about this method is that since this has markings like 1 1 2 2 3 3, even if you miss out some area, you can just check out which area you have missed out by comparing the reference drawing grid with your drawing grid, because they have already marking. Suppose you left out a point at 0.44. okay, so you can always check the from where the point will pass in the reference or the printout in the 44 grid, and then you will know the position from where you have to mark, or where you have to mark, or through the area where the line will pass. So see, now I'm almost done with the bottom part as well. I've kept the speed slow so that you can understand the measurements and the points from where I am taking the measurements, how I am using the intersection to take the measurements. You can notice it very nicely out here. Just see how I am taking the measurements. So see, so I missed out an area like I said, and now I know from where I have to pass the point. So see, I missed out that area, but since it is numbered, I just quickly checked the number and I knew where I have missed out. So this is a very reliable technique, and if you use this, your basic drawings will be almost accurate. Almost accurate I am saying because there will always be some human error. We can't avoid that. Apart from that, everything will be perfect. Now you might be thinking that the center circular iris could be a problem, but see, when you get points and you already know that it will be a circle, you will try to make curved lines, right? And if you go from one point to another, these curves will keep on joining, and you will be able to get almost a perfect circle. The iris is not a perfect circle though, but you will be able to get the shape properly. See, Now I am giving curved line because I know it's going to be a circular thing, and since I am joining the points, I am going from one point to another. It's looking almost like a circle. I got the circle almost right. Maybe there is 0.1% difference or 1% difference, that I don't know, but it is almost there, right? You will be able to get this right as well. Now for the small circle, I am taking the measurements again, and with this our basic structure is done. Now I'll just mark out the areas where the shading will be, little bit of shading, just for your understanding. At the end of this video I have given a image of the reference drawing with this grid. Take a screenshot of it if necessary, so that you can study the grid later on. It will give you an idea and you can use this in any drawing. So the paper that I have chosen for this drawing is handmade paper, and I am giving a coating of white acrylic over it. So first of all, to do that I am just wetting the paper as much as needed. Okay, basically you have to wet it so that the in a consistency that the acrylic spreads over the paper. Okay, so now I'll be giving a coating of white acrylic over it. So basically the paper that I have chosen out here is handmade paper. The advantage of this paper is that it will give me a default texture of the skin. The texture that is already present in the paper will give me a feel of the skin in the eye, around the eye region. But the problem is that scratching to create a very minute detailing becomes very difficult in this paper, as the particles of the oil pastel sticks too much or goes too much deep inside the paper. That's why I'm coating it with a layer of acrylic. Since acrylic is a plastic medium, the scratching becomes very easy later on. You'll see that when I come to the application of it. Okay, so first of all I'm applying white in some of the areas. You have to observe the areas where I am applying white. Okay, those will be the areas where the shading will be of light color and I will be giving the detailings. Okay, so in spite of adding the white acrylic color, the color will still stick to the paper, and that's why when you will scratch out the details, you might not be able to get the white of the paper properly. That's why I am applying white first. Over that I will apply other layers of colors, like I am applying flesh tint right now. The thing is, the color which I am using is Dawn Soil Pastel and it is moderately soft. Okay, so the layering becomes possible somehow with the oil pastel heating technique. In case you don't know the oil pastel heating technique, I'll give the link to another video where you can observe what is the oil pastel heating technique, but still I would like to explain or give a gist of it. All you have to do is heat the oil pastel a little, blow over it, make it cool down a little bit, and then apply it. What it will do is it will create the layer of color over another color. It will help you in doing that. If you use soft oil pastels like gallery oil pastels, this might not be necessary also. But I'm not using it out here, and many people might not use the gallery oil pastel. So in that case, this could be a way out. Okay. So see, I'm applying pink out here, and then I'm blending it. Okay, I'm not applying too much pressure right now. the pressure will play a very important role. Okay, I'll guide you through it. So I'm not applying too much pressure out here. Right now I'm leaving the spots, I'm using the natural texture of the color, the paper. That's why I'm not applying too much pressure. Right now I'm applying red and marking the areas. So over and over again we have to create layers of color, and the blending, the pressure of blending will play a very important role in creating the detailings. Okay, so first of all, this is the marking time, like where the colors will be, or the what will be the colors. That's why I'm not applying too much pressure. Okay, and every color is applied using the heating technique so that one color sits over the other. And white can be used for the blending purpose as well, remember that, and I have used it very frequently. Okay, so here I'm applying brown. So we have to gradually grow the layer. Okay, I'll guide you through the colors which I have used. I'm using brown again out here. And see, I'm doing little bit of blending. Okay, I applied the white previously, and now then I'm blending again. It's mixing with the white. I'm increasing the pressure gradually. Okay, so that I could get keep the texture of the paper so that it could represent the skin. Now I'm using yellow ochre. This will represent the change in color. Okay, and we have to apply multiple layers of colors. So I'm using some white again, and with light pressure I'm spreading out the colors again. See, some white spots are being left out. Keep it there right now, just let it be there. We will deal with it later on. The portion which I am doing right now, it will act as a point of realism. Okay, there will be a reflection. So note the colors which I am using. Here I am blending them properly with adequate pressure. Okay, I'm using little bit of dark brown here and there, like the darkest regions, like out here I used dark brown. And now I'm going for the rose pink again, some red, very light amount of pink. You know, the lines, the curves below the eye should be such that the line, a proper line shouldn't be there. It should be just the difference or the change in color which should mark the separation of the regions. So I'm using brown again. Lot of brown will be used. Okay, so this is the brown layer which is going again brown, some white, again brown, then I'm blending it again, little bit of brown and pink, and then blending. Till now I have not increased my pressure. I'm keeping it to low. Okay, low pressure. Here I use some red to mark the separation of that area with red. Right now we haven't gone into the intricate detailings. Okay, right now we are just building the base layers. Okay, see how the top of the eyes have a separation. That's all because of the colors. The change in color is marking the areas. Okay, and gradually we will increase the layers as well as the pressure. So I use some pink, then I blended it with white, and then I am using some rose pink again, Then I'm blending it with white again. Now I'm moving on to the iris of the eye, and I'm marking it with white. Why I'm marking it with white? Because here we will do the detailings, the detailing of the iris. I'll come to that later on. So here I'm applying some black, and then I'm using brown over it again, so that we can get a darker version of brown. Okay, if you use the black more, then it will be of more of a blackish touch, red again. But if you use more of brown, like little bit of black and then another layer of brown over it, then another layer of black, maybe some brown over it again, this will give you the darker version of the brown only. Here I'm using little bit of dark yellow over the brown, because when I do the other parts, this the detailing, this will pop up. Okay, so now I'm using ultramarine blue. The lighting is actually a bit more, okay, in my room, so it might appear a little bit on the lighter side, but the colors are actually more on the darker sides. Now some Prussian blue. So since I'm hitting it and I'm giving it over the I'm creating layers, so the previous white is not having any effect. So here I marked the area of the iris. Now I'm using black. With this black, I'm marking out the outside of the iris. Okay, and remember, these will all go and blend in. See, I'm blending it again. Inside this there will be the detailings. Okay, now the central black, I'll go through all the colors. Okay, I'll go through all the colors. So listen to what I'm saying very carefully and stay till the end. Missing out on even one layer might, disturb the flow of the drawing, and you might not get the desired results. So I'm using the white pencil to create the detailings. So let me tell you, the white pencil which I'm using is not for giving white lines. I'm not actually giving white lines, I'm just scratching out the surface, the top surface or the top layer of colors using this white pencil, and that's how I'm getting the detailing. This is the main reason for which I applied the white acrylic, I applied the white oil pastel beforehand, so that when I scratch out the details, it gives me a white one. Okay, so when I'm scratching out the blue, the bottommost layer which is white, that thing is popping out. Okay, the pen which I'm using right now is doesn't have any ink in it, it's an empty pen. So I'm using brown out here again, and now see, I'm increasing the pressure. Now I'm increasing the pressure. Now I'll go into more detailing, like the dark areas will be darker and the lighter areas will be lighter. So I'm going into the detailings right now. Some more blending. So the pencil which I'm using and the empty pen which I'm using are only to just bring out the detailings. It's not leaving any mark. See, now I have increased the pressure. I increased the pressure and pressed the particles or the pigments into the paper. That gave me a little bit of a smoother look of the skin, but left out the necessary whites as well. So on a closer look, now see the pressure with which I am applying the colors, and observe the pressure with which I am blending. I am intentionally leaving out the whites. See, that's how I'm getting the folding of the skins. Here I'm giving some black. This will mark the dark region of the eye, like the big folding. Okay, so some black again, some brown again. Like I said, just to get a darker version of brown, we have to give the black and then apply some brown over it again. So see, now I'm going more into solid color. Like here I'm not leaving out the texture of the paper. Here I'm going more into smooth look. Some rose pink, some red, because in the skin you won't be able to see the detailing every time. Some places will be there which will appear quite smooth. I'm marking out the area with red. Now I'm applying some orange. Remember, orange goes very well. Like our skin is not orange, but when the shadow is falling over it, when a shadow is being created, orange goes very nicely with brown and flesh tint and pink. That's why orange can be used at some places when you are doing skin texture. Okay, so see, I'm applying the color. Since this is the skin texture where I will be needing the skin texture, I'm going with light pressure. Here I'm applying some flesh tint and pink again. See, but the pressure with which I'm applying the color is very less. So now we are going to another section. Here I'm applying some brown again, and see, now I'm gradually increasing the pressure. The white areas which were left out, I'm spreading the color to those areas so that it doesn't look like that there is a break in the colors. Okay, like one shadow is breaking at one point. It should have a gradual increase. If at some area the color becomes more, you can always scratch it out with your fingers and then apply another layer, so you can repair things through that. Okay, so I applied some pink out here again, and see, I'm blending it again. Okay, mentioning the color so many times is very difficult. That's why I decided to go into speaking out the colors, so that you can listen to me, listen to my voice and get an idea. You have already seen the colors before and like what I have used. Apart from those, all the colors, those colors will be repeated over and over again. So see, the brown, the spots of brown which I left out will act as some kind of, you know, spots on the face or the freckles on the face, those kind of things. Some more red and some white. Blending the red with white will give me pink only, but a darker version of pink or a different version of pink. Now see, I'm going over it with brown again, and then I'm mixing it again. See, I'm maintaining the graduality of the shading, of the movement from the light to the dark or from the dark to the light. So see, you can already see the skin texture popping out. That is the default texture of the paper. That is the main reason I use this paper. I use handmade paper mainly when there is skin textures involved. Okay, some flesh tint again, some brown again, some rose pink again, some red. just to make the difference in colors, just to get those gradual changes. If you observe it perfectly, now you can see how the gradual changes are coming through. I have left some of the places untouched, or in the white zone, just to keep it, just to keep the graduality, like from the light portion, or the mark the areas where the reflection has fallen. Some flesh tint again, some brown again. So see how many layers I have putting. Like I have put like hundreds of layers, maybe one over the another. So here I am giving small strokes following the curve of the eye, so that it looks realistic. Suppose in a skin, when the skin is moving through a curved surface, your strokes should be curved as well. With this empty pen, I am marking out the skin textures. This area should have a texture which goes in a curved way. That's why I am marking it separately and giving it a curved look. And remember, again, the white pencil is for scratching out the top layer and exposing the white underneath in a blended fashion. When you need very sharp lines, you can use the empty pen, or sharp objects like toothpick or anything like that. When you need a blended effect, white pencil or white glass marking pencil is a very good option. So with small strokes, I am creating the detailing of the skin, or the texture of the skin. Now look closely, look at the strokes which I am giving. These strokes, these skin textures will make the painting or the drawing more realistic. See the dots which I am giving. See the lines. To see the lines which I am giving. These lines are very important. Just small strokes or small dots can create lot of difference. Now moving on to the eye. The eye there is something that you must follow to give it a more realistic look. Okay, so see, there are actually two rings inside. Okay, after the black there is one ring which is the white zigzag kind of a thing, and then there are the the long lines. Okay, so the separation or the zigzag portion should be of whiter shade, so you can use the the white pencil and take off more colors, or you can apply more pressure so that more of the blue gets taken away and more of the white gets exposed, so that in that way you are able to get whiter among the white strokes. I hope it makes sense. So now we are coming to the closing sections and some of the close detailing. So I applied some rose pink, now some white, I'm blending it again. Some white again. You have to stay calm, okay, because if you hurry up with the layering, it won't work out. Some more red, some more white. Just keep on adding layers until and unless you get your desired results. With practice and with proper time, you'll know when it is done. So after the scratching, lot of the blues has been taken away, but the blues requires some shading as well. Okay, that's why I'm bringing in the black, and I'm moving over all the already designed or the scratched areas or the detailed areas as well. This will give this will add a shadow to those portions and will make it pop out. As soon as you add a shadow to anything or draw the reflection on a surface, it automatically creates a thing or an image in our mind that it's a 3D image, because only 3D images or the objects in our real life have reflection as well as shadows. So here I am giving out the detailings again. So see, here also I'm applying almost 3 layers. Once I've applied the black, I'm taking off some of the black again and I'm going into the detailings again. These things becomes very easy if you use coloring pencil. Color pencils are a very good option for creating eyes, especially when the size is small. But if you want to do it with oil pastel only, then this technique could be used, or a soft oil pastel or a higher quality oil pastel can be used, where doing these detailings are easier. If you're not able to do it, then scratching is always there. You can always follow this technique to get those results. Okay, so here I want the layer to be a little bit different, so I'm applying the brown again. I'm applying some rose pink again. So see, this is how this area looks. Another variation in just the skin color, just the blending will determine the folding of the skins. Now I'll add some detailing again so that I'm able to get that gradual I can show the gradual movement into the darker portions of the skin. Some detailing out here as well. Here too much of skin texture wasn't necessary, that's why I made it smooth, and then I controlled the amount of detailing needed in that area. Okay, so this is the eye portion, how the iris looks now. I'm applying some white again. This will be the area where there will be some sort of reflection which will make the eye of lighter color out there. That's why I'm applying white and I'm blending it into the dark zone. These are very minute things, these are very small things, but very, very important things. This very less quantity of pink which I applied will act as a separation line. So now we will go into the realistic detailing part. So now I'm applying some black again and some brown. So look how I'm creating the detailing. Okay, this portion is very important. So some red to mark out the zone or the separation. Okay, now some white, now just blend it out. Some little bit of orange, some dark red to mark the separation, and little bit of red again. And now all we have to do is make the difference of color. That's why I'm applying some more white. Now the color is inside that area is little bit different from the outside, so there will be no issue in recognizing the separation. Our skins, our natural skins, have the same texture. Once it is done, I'm giving in the detailings again. Now I'm using white pen. Here I'm actually using white pen. This area has a reflection, so see how I'm putting in a dot, and then I'm just, you know, giving a shine of white, like I'm just blending it over the colors and it will act as a shine. See, little bit of touches, very delicate touch. And trust me, when you will look at it from a distance, that portion will look super realistic just because of adding of the shine. And now some more detailing. Below the red, see, I didn't go for I didn't touch the red area. Some flesh tint, some pink. So here this area will be of whiter color, that's why I added the white using the white pen. Now some pink and red combo to mark the difference of color inside those eyelids, the eyelid area. I'm doing the eyelid area, the area over which we will draw the eyelashes. So see, I'm marking those areas with some pink. With this white white pencil, I'm just taking away some of the colors. If you remember, the first color we put out there was white. So taking away or creating sharp lines using white pencil is also possible now. I'm using the Staedtler 8B pencil, which kind of, you know, works over the oil pastel somehow. So I use that to create the sharp line of the iris. And I'm going over with some black again. Remember, the iris should have a sharp edge, okay, almost sharp edge. There will be some shading of white, but mostly it should be sharp. Some more red, some more pink, so that the difference out there could be visible. And always remember, while doing the detailing of the eye goes inside the central black, okay? So I'm putting in some red because the interior of the eye is mostly red, that area which I'm marking now, and I'm blending it, and the pressure is quite high because I'm almost blending out 3 layers. So here I'm putting the reflection again. See, another reflection. And once you do the eyelashes, these just small spots of single spots pop out. So here I tried to scratch out the detailing, but somehow I messed it up. Okay, this will act as the reflection or the light reflection of the some of the lights on the iris. So I'm using white pen out here to do them, and as soon as I draw this, you will notice that all of a sudden the eye is looking like a completely 3D object, because you are adding the reflection out here. Add it very carefully because you are using white pen. If you make mistakes using the white pen, it can be repaired, but the careful you are, it will help you in the long run. There are some mediums where mistakes can't be repaired properly, or you can't manage it. So that's why it's good to avoid. It's a good practice to avoid mistakes. But in art, actually there is no mistake as such. You can always get through, but just to avoid the tension, you can work on your skills of not making much mistakes. So right now you can see the reflection is on the iris. I'm going over the detailing of the skin little bit more. As soon as I put in the reflection, I realize that some of the areas need to be more specific. Here I'm applying little bit of gray because the eye is not completely white. Okay, there is always some colors involved, so I used gray out here. Now I'm blending it with white again. We are almost to the end of this tutorial. Okay, we are almost to the end. Now I cut out a section of the black, I would say, and then I made those reflection of eyelashes over the reflection I drew. These minute things or these minute detailings add lot of value to your drawings or lot of realism to your drawing. Now I'm making the white more whiter by giving some more layers. Here I'm just giving some final and minute touches to the detailing of the iris. The more attention you pay towards the detailing, the more realistic it will look. But always remember to take your eye off of the painting, in a duration of 1 hour, 2 hours or something like that, so that you can come back and look at it with a fresh eye. This is very important. So I'm using my pencil to mark out the eyelashes. Remember, this page or this paper is not suitable for using pencil. Had it been a different paper, this pencil would have been enough to create those eyelashes. Okay, it would have held on to the paper perfectly or nicely, whatever you can say. But since I wanted to get the skin texture naturally, the paper I used is not suitable for marking over the oil pastel. It does not get stuck to the paper properly. But this pencil which I am using is Staedtler 8B extra dark pencil. It's a good pencil and it can still create some markings, at least some markings, which is enough for this. Okay, because once I have marked out the eyelashes, I can just go over it with a black oil pastel without any issue, and using the tip of the pencil I can just guide my oil pastel through those areas without any problem. Another very important thing which you should remember while drawing an eye is that if it's a bright eye, or if there is some kind, if you are seeing any object, then there is some kind of light involved, and when there is some light involved, there is bound to be some reflections. Here I am creating the eyelashes using the black oil pastel. So if you are seeing an eyelash, remember the eyelashes are bound to have at least some kind of reflection. Create that and your eyelashes will look more realistic. Here I am applying some of the detailing over the eyelashes. I am exposing some of the skin areas, and I am creating some of the reflections on the eyelashes. Some white dots to mark out the reflections. Remember to put the curves as well, okay, because eyelashes won't be straight lines, there are bound to be some curves. Giving those curves will give more of a realistic look. Some white in those areas, just little bit of white will make those eyelashes pop out. So here I was supposed to give another reflection. I tried to give it using the white pen. See how I'm giving the reflection on the eyelashes and some white dots in those areas. Here I am scratching out some of the areas to give those some more of a reflection on the discolored portions of the eyelashes. There are actually some places where the hair is very thin. So I just applied some gray again to make the outside little bit darker, and then the reflection worked. So this was the end of the tutorial. If you stayed till the end, thank you, and if you like this tutorial, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to press the bell notification. So I will be back with a new video. Until next time, goodbye.